Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, or actually good evening, just depending on where you're at, I guess, and where you're watching this. But welcome to my channel. My name is Tanya, or Titanium Built, whichever you want to call me. I don't prefer one over the other. If you're a returning Titan, welcome on back. If you're new to the channel, welcome on in. Let us know where you're from in the comments below. I do have it on members, or I'm not, sorry, not members only, subscribers only in the chat. That just helps with like bots and things like that, since I'll be going back and forth through a couple pages today. And I'll get my camera turned on here too, just a second. If I can get it turned on. There we go. There we are. Hello. So hello, everybody. So if you could like the video as you guys are coming in, that does help the channel grow. It helps the algorithm. It does push it out into the algorithm as well. Also, if you're watching this on replay, just hashtag replay in the comment section or comment your thoughts below. I'd love to hear them. I do go through all the comments. So as of right now, I'm still able to do that, you know, go through everybody's comments and look and try to get back to you guys. So I do look forward to hearing from you. We are going to be talking about the Alex Murdaugh trial today. So we are talking about kind of like a day behind almost, because we have Nancy Grace she's in on the trial, not in the trial, but you know, she's in the courtroom, she's observing, she's taking notes, and then she's reporting daily what she sees and what she hears. So thank God for Nancy. I did get to listen to it, almost all of it, before I got on, and it's good. It's really good. So I love her. She has a really good panel on. She has like all kinds of really good things to say. So we'll get to that in just a moment. I do want to share just a couple things that have come out. Also, if you didn't know, I'm wearing red today because it is Heart Disease Awareness Day. So if you're not wearing red, you should put some red on. It's, you know, to benefit heart disease, things like that. And so hopefully I never have to worry about heart disease. That doesn't run in my family. Everything else does, though. Everything else, pretty much. So we're doing an 8:15 live tonight on the Idaho 4 murder. So there's been some developments and people have come out and said a few things. So that's going to be a pretty big live tonight. So I have the thumbnail made. I just need to make it on StreamYard. So it'll be made up after this live here. Oh no, you're fine. You can tell us anything that's going on in the court. We would love to know. Teresa normally keeps us updated because she is like on top of that stuff. It's hard to listen to, you know, two things at once. So I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to Nancy and see what she's got to say. And she did have a lot to say. Of course she did. So yesterday we did go over this, but I'm going to go back over it. It's just something that came out yesterday. I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before now. Actually, I want to show this one. Okay. So I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. I just want to read the top portion, and then I'm going to show you the video here so you guys can kind of hear his voice when he's not in the courtroom. Because, you know, like, people have their regular voice. I feel like that they talk to, like, you know, their friends, family, like, it kind of like, I don't know, your pitch and like kind of goes up and down differently than if you were to just be talking like on a live or in front of somebody. Do you know what I mean? Like talking to, like, trying to be, you know, on like a, you know, panel, or like if you're in like a courtroom, something like along those lines where you're, I don't know how to get it there. You know what I mean? Can't get my words together there, guys. But I do want to share this with you. It says, Murdaugh family murders, video of loving Alex at birthday opened the door to evidence about financial fraud. What a dummy. It says, let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger for you guys. I hate that everything is always so small. Okay. That's all it'll let me do. But it says, on Thursday, a South Carolina judge ruled that prosecutors can present evidence of Alex Murdaugh's alleged fraud because the defense prior line of questioning called for it. On Wednesday, the defense showed a video of Alex and his family celebrating his 54th birthday. They would go on to ask Paul's friend, Rogan Gibson and Will Loving, whether Alex would have had a motive to kill his wife and son if they believed he was capable of killing. In return, the prosecution asked Loving if he knew that Alex had been confronted about stealing more than $790,000 from his law firm the morning of the June 21st 2021 murders. So the day of the murders, he was confronted about stealing $790,000 from the law firm that he worked at. That to me is pretty damning. It's just another little stack of like the chips. You know, they are stacking them so perfectly. It says on Thursday, Judge Clifton Newman determined that the defense line of questioning opened the door for the state to rebuke the presenting evidence of Alex's alleged financial crimes, despite him only standing trial for murder at this point. And that's when they like released the jury, and then they brought in new witnesses. And so I wanted to show you this video. I didn't show you this yesterday of him celebrating his birthday. And you can see like Paul in the video, and you can just see his family and stuff. So I'll play this here for you. Let me make sure. I don't want it to like hurt your ears, but I don't think the volume will let me control it. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. All right. Oh, sorry, guys. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Thank y'all so much. Hey. Thank you, baby.
You would think that for a man that would want for nothing, that he would be satisfied with that. Apparently, he wasn't satisfied with what he had, which is pretty sad. I don't know. I guess maybe like once you get so much money, like you hit so much money, you just want more and more and more. Because it seems like, we hear this like often, financial crimes, we do hear about them a lot. Oh, man, it's good in the courtroom today, isn't it? I bet you it is. Okay, I love that. I love that you guys are all like talking in the chat too. It's been damning evidence every day, Teresa. I swear they're just stacking these chips up on this guy. Just slowly. Key West, oh, I bet it's so nice, Ruth. Oh man, I've been dying to go to the ocean. I actually, I want to go to the ocean so bad, like just be by the beach, that I meditated for 10 minutes today that I was at the beach. Like toes in the sand, water slowly coming up. It was relaxing, but it's not the real deal. Also, if you're just now joining us, if you haven't subscribed to the channel or liked the video, please do so. It really does help the channel grow. And we are going to be doing an Idaho 4 update live tonight as well. So just want to let you guys know that. So this one is just a short little news clip. I can't get it. There we go. I was trying to get it to like blow up a little bit. It says, the chief financial officer for Alex Murdaugh former law firm took the stand today, testifying that she confronted Alex about missing money the same day his wife and son were killed. Jeanne Seckinger told the court that she and Alex discussed structural settlements regarding the boat crash involving Paul. Alex reportedly sent those funds to Forge Consulting and was putting money in his wife's name. Alex allegedly said he was sending the money to Forge as a favor to a friend, Michael Gunn, who was a top employee there. In February 2019, Paul reportedly crashed his boat into Archer Creek Bridge, killing Mallory Beach. The teen was ejected from the boat. 5 other people aboard were injured. Paul was charged with felony boating under the influence. And if you aren't aware, that's Alex Murdaugh's son, the one that was killed. So he had a boating incident back in 2019. He killed a girl. They were drinking, and he was driving the boat, and it crashed into like a pillar of sorts. So it says, also, did Alex Murdaugh change clothes before police arrived at Maggie and Paul Murdaugh's murder scene? Paul Murdaugh's video shows his father in long pants and a collared shirt. The video of Murdaugh's statement with police shows him in shorts and a white t-shirt. And then this is just the panel that's going to be joining her today that we will be listening into. This is cousin Eddie. So I'll go from the bottom up. So the bottom is the attorney for Curtis' cousin Eddie Smith. She's going to be on the panel. She doesn't say like a whole lot, but she says some. You got the Fox, Kelly Sketchin, I guess that's how you say it. Dr. Michelle Dupree, Robert Crispin, he's a private investigator, and Michelle Dupree is a former forensic pathologist, medical examiner, detective. And then the other one is a News Nation producer. And I think that she's the girl that might have been outside of the Idaho house with her. Really? I'm about to let me see. I'm about to see what's going on over there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play Nancy, and then I'll peek over there too, because I have to do a live tonight. So here it just says, I'm just going to go over what she's going to say really quick. It says, the chief financial officer of Alex Murdaugh's former law firm took the stand today, testifying that she confronted Alex about the missing money the same day his wife and son were killed. This pretty much says the same thing that I told you earlier. It actually says the same exact thing that we just read over. So I won't read over it again. But it does, talk about Alex Murdaugh changing clothes before the police arrived. If he did. Also, it talks about Paul in the boating accident. It talks about the murders, of course, and it talks about his financial crimes. So it talks a little bit about it all. And he is charged right now with 77, I believe, counts. So also, Nancy is I think she's kind of loud, and I can't really control the volume, I don't think. Let me see if I can. I'm going to try to turn this down.
95% of Uber knew you. Zoomer Cellular.
What a morning in the courtroom. I hope you've been listening to it live. I'm telling you, it's one thing to say, wow, Alex Murdaugh got disbarred or Alex Murdaugh stole from his clients. But when you hear that witness on the stand, I took down so many notes about how much money he stole. And it was a very elaborate process where he would create a fake Forge account. Forge is the name of an actual business, but he created a fake Forge account, and he would funnel a $279,000 settlement, $247,000, $750,000, $183,000. It goes on. I've got 20 settlements that he made, 20 awards for clients at least, that all went into his fake Forge account. And let me tell you something else. That lady witness on the stand, there was no love lost between her and Alex Murdaugh. She was ready to drop the hammer on him. And I only wonder if the witness knew Maggie Murdaugh, because remember, Maggie worked there in the office as a bookkeeper. A lot of arguing between the lawyers, but boy, talk about motive for murder. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thanks for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. With me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. But the big thing, the big bombshell, in addition to all of this financial misdoing leading up to the murders of Maggie and Paul, in addition to that, guys, I consider this the single most important moment of the trial. Finally, somebody stands up and says, it was Alex Murdaugh. Now, I looked online last night, and I saw all these entries on Twitter and Facebook and Insta saying, we're not afraid here in Colleton County. We're not afraid of Alex Murdaugh. But when I was sitting outside the courthouse and in the courtroom in break, people would come up to me and say, my best friend was in the jury pool and she was afraid. She was afraid to be on the jury. She was afraid that somehow Murdaugh would get off and come after everybody on the jury. Then I was at a restaurant eating dinner right 1 block from the courthouse. And another woman, a different woman, came up and told me, yeah, Murdaugh relatives, they're not talking. We were with them 2 weekends ago. They don't even bring it up because they're all scared they might have to testify to something. But finally, somebody did stand up and say, I recognize that. That's the voice of Alex Murdaugh. placing him at the crime scene. Somebody that wasn't afraid to stand up and tell the truth. I want you to listen to our cut 2.
In November of 2022, did law enforcement ask you to come in and look at a video?
They did.
And did you watch that video?
I did.
And what was on that video?
It was the video. Paul was supposed to take a cash. Cash was on the video.
And did you recognize the voices on there?
I did.
Did you recognize the voices of your second family?
I did.
And what voices did you hear?
Paul's, Miss Maggie, Miss Alex.
And how sure now?
Positive.
100%?
That's correct.
100% positive. And more. Take a listen to our cut 3.
What voices did you recognize on that video?
Paul Murdaugh, Maggie Murdaugh, and Alex Murdaugh.
And how sure are you?
100%.
The person whose voice you recognize on there that you identified as Alex Murdaugh, do you see him in the courtroom here today?
Yes, sir.
Can you point him out for the jury?
He's sitting right there.
Your Honor, please let the record reflect he's identified the defendant.
What video are they talking about? Well, if you are a legal, then you know what video we're talking about. The murdered son, Paul Murdaugh, had a friend's dog. It was Rogie Gibson's dog. And there was something wrong with the dog's tail. I've looked at the video. I don't see anything wrong with the dog's tail, but they apparently do. And in that moment, Rogie asks Paul, well, look, take a picture, take a video, and we're going to give it to this lady vet that we know, see if she can figure out what it is by the video. That's what we're talking about. And in the background, you hear a third voice, Paul, Maggie, his mother, and we believe Alex Murdaugh. Okay, you take a listen and you hear a distant third voice. That, according to 2 witnesses, is Alex Murdaugh's significance. This is about a minute before Paul and Maggie are murdered. Take a listen.
Get back. Get back.
Quit, Cash. Come. Quit. It's okay. Come here. It's not that bad. Come here, Cash. Shit. Come here. Post it. Cash. Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Hey, Bubba. That's a guinea. This is a chicken. Come here, Bubba. Come here, Cash. Come here, Bubba. Cash. Quit.
And according to not 1, but 2 witnesses, Rogie Gibson, and Will Loving, both say that is Alex Murdaugh, the accused killer. With me, an all-star panel, but first, I'm going to go to Kelly Skehan, who's been in the courtroom from the get-go with Fox Nation. Kelly, that was a moment I will never forget. Describe to me what happened, because like so many moments where you and I are sitting there literally on the edge of our seat, like those 2 inches are going to make a difference, listening, you could have heard a pin drop in the courtroom. Tell me about it, Kelly.
Yeah, Nancy, you and I have been in the courtroom for the last couple of days, and this truly is out of a Hollywood movie. When that video was played, everyone in the court was on the edge of their seats. And something that I noticed is Alex's family they were taken aback. Local reporting says that they actually confirmed that that was Alex Murdaugh's voice on the tape before we even heard it in court. His sister, you can see her in the feed almost grimacing. She knows that that is her brother.
Now, Kelly, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. You were with me at the restaurant the other night, and we were talking to friends of the Murdaugh family. And the person we were speaking with had been with the Murdaughs a few weeks before. And these are second, third cousins. And they were afraid. They didn't want to talk about it. They wouldn't speak about it. They acted like nothing was happening because they're afraid. They do not want to get involved.
They're afraid, Nancy, and we've even been speaking to sources on the ground here where when one person starts talking, the other person literally covers the other one's mouth. They don't want to be connected to this case. They're still scared of the Murdaughs here, whether it's the extended family or they're scared of if Alec gets out, what's going to happen to them. No one wants to talk. Even people, I was hearing in court today that Alex Murdaugh, during jury selection, when the lawyers were asking if they could form, opinions of this, not form opinions of this case, and they would say no, and they were dismissed, Alec would look at them with this stare. So he definitely still has his talons in this town.
What, Kelly, you just reminded me of that. I saw that too. We were talking to a witness, a person not on the witness list, not that kind of witness. We were talking to someone affiliated, friends of the Murdaughs, and the other person started talking to us and telling us things we had never heard before. And the other one literally, as Kelly Skin just told you, reached over and went, and that was it. No more talking. That was it.
The interest of investigators, sure, podcasts, or
stores order minimum supply.
And alerts you to LifeLock.com.
A Snapchat. Today we've...
That's LifeLock.
Every time I do that, like I mute it the first time or pause it, it always ends up going back to the beginning. I don't know why she does that. So I'm going to fix it really quick. Sorry, guys. But she was saying that people in the town won't even talk about it. Like they're scared of the Murdaughs still. Like she said they physically was putting their hands over other people's mouths so that they would stop talking because they were talking too much, I guess, to Nancy when she went to go eat at this restaurant that was in the same town. Because that's where she's at this week. She's there in the courtroom. And if you're just now joining us, we are talking about the Alex Murdaugh trial that is going on right now. And let me go ahead and fast forward this to like 11 minutes in, I think it was.
His sister,
They were afraid. They didn't want to talk about it.
Alex Murdaugh, during jury selection, when the lawyer, they don't want to be connected to.
They acted like nothing was happening because they're afraid. They do not want to get involved.
They're afraid, Nancy, and we've even been speaking to sources on the ground here where when one person starts talking, the other person literally covers the other one's mouth. They don't want to be connected to this case. They're still scared of the Murdaughs here, whether it's the extended family or they're scared of if Alec gets out, what's going to happen to them. No one wants to talk. Even people, I was hearing in court today that Alex Murdaugh, during jury selection, when the lawyers were asking if they could form, opinions of this, not form opinions of this case, and they would say no, and they were dismissed, Alec would look at them with this stare. So he definitely still has his talons in this town.
What, Kelly, you just reminded me of that. I saw that too. We were talking to a witness, a person not on the witness list, not that kind of witness. We were talking to someone affiliated, friends of the Murdaughs, and the other person started talking to us and telling us things we had never heard before. And the other one literally, as Kelly Skin just told you, reached over and went, and that was it. No more talking. That was it.
I thought that Isabel had a Alec and her family, but I couldn't remember. Yeah, so because I had to come on and ask you guys because we were talking, we're calling him Alex, Murdaugh. So it's supposed to be Alex Murdaugh. Now I don't even know, guys. Alex Murdaugh. I think I've just been saying it so many different ways that it's just whatever. If I could get away with putting his name wrong and saying it wrong and people would know, like in my titles, I would do it for every killer just to piss them off a little bit. I would write his name wrong, but then people wouldn't know how to get to my videos, and then that'd be a thing. like Brian Kohlberger, for instance, I would spell it with B-R-Y-A-N instead of I, just because I think that would make them upset if they saw that or if they knew that. Just like a little jab, you know? Yeah, he said in the police car his name is Alec and he goes by Alec. Yeah, his name's like Alexander, but he's the only Alexander that I know. So it must be like, maybe it is where you're from, because this is the first time I've ever heard Alexander be called Alec for sure. I've always seen it Alex. I mean, even my boyfriend's brother's name's Alexander and he goes by Alex. So I don't know. I guess it just depends on where you're from. I'm going to go ahead and play Nancy again. She is a little loud, so I just want to warn you guys. I'm not sure how loud it is on your side, so.
Cherie Warren was reserve police officer.
Fast
Wrong
forward the
time,
commercial.
which is great. Because all your personal, if you do become a victim /I.
So the video.
Here, that video.
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace.
Guys, today we've heard a lot about financial misdeeds, but I wanted you to hear that video and that sound. Also, I want you to take a listen now to a Snapchat video. Take a listen.
Is that the video you saw?
Yes, it is.
That was on the afternoon or the evening of June 7th, 2021.
That's correct.
Clothes that he was wearing, at least in that video you saw on the evening of June 7th, 2021.
Yeah, those are the clothes I saw in the video.
Long pants and a shirt.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And those particular shoes.
Yes, sir.
And you watched that video in real time when it came in from Paul's phone that evening, is that correct?
That is correct.
Guys, I'm very taken aback. We heard rumors of this at the get-go, but Kelly Skin, is it true that reportedly Alex Murdaugh had a wardrobe change, that he was wearing one thing before the shootings and something entirely different when police arrived after his 911 call?
That is true. So in this Snapchat video, you see Alex Murdaugh pushing over a tree and you hear Paul Murdaugh in the background laughing. Alex Murdaugh is wearing a blue short sleeve shirt and long pants. Then when you see this video from inside of a police car later that night when Alex is being interviewed by police about what happened, he's in a short sleeve white undershirt and shorts. We don't know where his clothes went from earlier that night, and we don't know if we will ever find them.
Well, you know, Kelly, I'm glad you put it like that, because we were just showing a split screen of what he's wearing in the video that afternoon is identified by Will Loving, and what he was wearing just a few hours later when police arrived. So did Alex Murdaugh discard bloody clothes? In addition to my Fox Nation senior producer who's been with me through thick and thin, Kelly Skin, also with us is a renowned attorney. I know you've heard her name before, Amy Zimmercheck. Why have you heard her name? Because she is the lawyer for Curtis, aka Cousin Eddie Smith. As you will recall, you first heard the name Curtis Eddie Smith when Alex Murdaugh somehow mysteriously ended up on a rural road, way out of his way, and then an unknown stranger came and shot him in the head, and miraculously, he lived.
Listen.
I got a flat tire, and I stopped, and somebody stopped to help me. And when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me.
Oh, okay. Were you shot?
Yes, but I mean, I'm okay.
You shot where? Where were you shot at?
If this is your first time hearing this phone call, just kind of listen to it, because who the heck gets shot and acts like this? Like, yeah, I'm just on the side of the road, just got shot. Are you shot? Yeah, I'm shot. It's just very weird to me.
Did they actually shoot you or they tried to shoot you?
They shot me.
Cousin Eddie is charged with assisted suicide, assault and battery, on and on and on. Amy Zimmercheck, you've got your work cut out for you. What is the status of Mr. Smith's case right now?
It is still pending. All of his cases are still pending. He has state grand jury cases as well as local Hampton County. The roadside shooting occurred in Hampton County, and so he's got a pending speedy trial motion there, and that has not been heard.
Okay, that was really
Nancy,
smart.
I gotta tell you
of
something that I
Amy
saw in
Zimmercheck.
court.
Okay, jump in.
This morning in court, I saw Alex Murdaugh's defense team walk in with a big file and the label Eddie Smith on it. So I think that he will be called to testify pretty soon here as a witness, and it is one that we are definitely watching.
Well, you know what? I don't know about that, Kelly Skian. I think you're right, but I would always walk into court with a big file that said defendant's rap sheet on it, just so they would know that's what they were looking at if he took the stand. Of course, they already knew that. That said, back to thank you, Kelly. Back to Amy Zimmercheck, the lawyer for Mr. Curtis Smith. Amy, do you believe your client will take some sort of a plea negotiation in exchange for truthful testimony?
That has not been discussed. If my client's called, he will testify truthfully.
Well, of course, Ms. Zimmercheck, that goes without saying that he will testify truthfully. Is he actually a blood relative of Alex Murdaugh, or is this a nickname? Are they actually related?
So his mother's last name was Murdaugh. So he's got, but not a direct relation. He's got a distant relation to the family.
Do you anticipate him taking the stand today or in the near future?
I know he has been subpoenaed as a witness. He is definitely not taking the stand today. I think that his testimony will likely depend on what this judge rules, what Judge Newman rules upon as far as what is allowed, either res geste or with potential 404B evidence. He has been subpoenaed. He is under subpoena, but I think that a lot of what he could testify to will depend on the judge's ruling. And from what I understood, just as I was watching right before the lunch break, it sounds like the judge, rightfully so, to protect the record, is going to have almost a mini trial where he listens to this potential either res geste or 404B or a combination of both evidence before he decides to present it to the jury, which I think does two things. It probably changes the timeline on when or if my client is called, and I think that it extends this trial quite a few weeks.
Well, we're all settled in. I want to hear the whole truth. Nothing but the truth. I don't want a Reader's Digest version of what happened. Now, Ms. Zimmercheck with me is a well-known lawyer, and I mean that in a good way. Amy Zimmercheck, representing Curtis Edward Smith, who is accused of shooting Murdaugh in the head, prearranged, in order to either take the focus off the murders of Maggie and Paul, or to make it appear as if his assailant had been the shooters of Maggie and Paul. An alternative theory going on. Amy, question. Of course, your client at this juncture will not be able to testify about any of his alleged involvement in the shooting of Alex Murdaugh, but could he be called to the stand to recount under oath what Alex Murdaugh may have told him about the shootings of Maggie and Paul?
I do believe that is probably a proper testimony, depending on even regardless of what Judge Newman rules about the additional evidence or potential bad acts or other bad acts. But I do believe that the subject of anything that was said in relation to that could be the subject of this trial.
Let me break it down in regular people talk. Curtis Eddie Smith is accused of shooting Murdaugh in a staged event. They say to give life insurance benefits to the remaining living son, Buster Murdaugh. I think it's a whole nother can of worms. Now, if he's called to the stand, he can't talk about any of that under the Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself. And if he doesn't say it, I guarantee you Zimmercheck will jump in and stop him from incriminating himself. But that does not preclude him from testifying under oath in front of the jury about any communications by Alex Murdaugh to him about the murders of Maggie and Paul or anything else touching on this court case. He can testify about that, and he cannot get out from testifying about that by the Fifth Amendment or any other protection. Guys, we're talking about what is happening in court right now. And I want you to take a listen. I'm telling you, this woman, there's no love lost between this woman and Alex Murdaugh. My other guests, hold tight. I see you waiting, but you've got to hear this. Our cut 12. We just heard it on the stand, the epiphany that, oh my stars, Alex Murdaugh is stealing. Can you believe that? Listen.
You were sitting in your office and you had a epiphany, or just a thought. Well, let's just see how many times Alex his cases have checks going to forge.
Well, when you're speaking of epiphany, I had started digging through his client list for every fee that he had brought in, and rather than going one by one, my epiphany was, let me just run a payment ledger on Forge and see what that turns out, rather than digging one by one.
Okay. And what prompted you to do that?
Because I was trying to look to see if there had been any more settlements that had been written to Forge, like this other one with Hirschberger, so that we could account for them and discuss how we were going to handle them.
And the look she gave Alex Murdaugh, I'm telling you, looks could kill. Now, listen to more of this witness in our cut 8.
So on June 7th, I was going to make another run at finding out from Alec if we had their information. I went upstairs to his office is on the second floor, and he was leaning on a file cabinet outside his office. And he turned and looked at me when I came up and said, "What do you need now?" And gave me a very dirty look, not a look that I'd ever received from Alec, just kind of frustrated with me look, which made me go, "Oh, you want to know? Let's go in your office." I told him that I had reason to believe that he had received the funds himself and that I needed proof that he had not.
Received those fees himself?
Yes.
And I needed proof that they were not?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He told me again that he assured me that the money was there and that he could get it. And at that point, I said, I'm just trying to do my job, and if I don't get this paperwork and verify that with these questions, I'm not doing my job. He actually acted like he respected that, and again said that that money was there, and that he again was trying to decide what he was going to be doing with it.
So he assured her the money was there. But guess what? It wasn't there. We're about to play our cut 11. What happened to all the money? I'm talking about big money settlements. One of them, off the top of my head, Kelly, jump in if I've got the numbers wrong. There was one for $1.2 million, $125,000, $183,000, $338,000. I've got so many numbers here. $750,000. It goes on and on and on. Kelly, did you add all that up while she was talking?
I did not add it up while she was talking, but we have heard that that number is up to $10 million. And I have to tell you something that happened during a break as we are going through these financial crimes line by line by line by line. Alex Murdaugh's defense attorney, Dick Harpootlian, stands up and looks at Eric Bland, who is representing the family of Gloria Satterfield, the Murdaugh family nanny who died in a trip and fall. He looks at Eric Bland and says, quote, "None of this SHIT matters." So as the prosecution is laying out this case against Alex Murdaugh for all of these white-collar crimes, allegedly, his defense is saying, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine. He's stealing from
clients. You know
clients.
what, Kelly Skid? You just said a white-collar crime. And you know what? Alex.
They're probably talking that way, like the defense, because they're probably thinking anything's better than, 2 counts of the M word, unaliving, I should probably say. I know how YouTube hates, when I talk my words, I usually just say them, but it's just, this is very interesting. The chips are piling, like I said, the evidence is piling on this guy so neatly, it's ridiculous. I know that Buster has I don't know if he has a girlfriend or a wife, But I didn't know that she was a lawyer. That's what it looks like in the chat. So it looks like Buster's girlfriend, wife's lawyer. Guess he's keeping it in the family. I wonder what Buster does. I just read what Kane said. How did Buster get a girlfriend? Just saying. Sorry. That made me laugh out loud.
Alex Murdaugh might as well have just gotten a gun and held it to the head of his clients. Just think about it, Kelly. Let's just say your mom or your dad is in a crash and they have life-changing damages. Maybe they have a problem walking. Maybe they can never go back to work again. They're on disability forever. And then Murdaugh gets a nice little settlement for $1.2 million. And then every time you call him on the phone, you, Kelly, you're paying your mom and your dad's way. You're paying their house payment. You're paying their car payment. You're paying for their groceries. Everything. And he keeps saying, well, it's coming. It's coming. You know what? Just come on and rob me. Put a gun to my face. Don't sneak around and steal my money. So when you say white collar crime, he stole money from these people. And the law firm found out, and the law firm had to cover it. Guys, take a listen to our cut 11.
Let's talk about the Badger case. What was the total settlement in that particular case?
$3.1 million.
What was the attorney fee that he received in that settlement?
He received $1,240,000.
The firm did.
The firm did.
But that would be ultimately on his books at the end of the year.
It would be credited him.
What else did Alec take?
$1,325,000.
And how did he go about doing that?
Checks were payable to Palmetto State Bank that were then converted into personal items.
And down here, we have Palmetto State Bank payment to fund structure per client request. Is that right?
That's right.
And that's the $1.325 million?
That's correct.
And did that go to the client?
No. An email to Alec, which was forwarded to me and my accounting staff, asking if we could recut the $1.3 million check into 4 different checks.
And they were made out to what entity?
Palmetto State Bank.
And then after they were made out to Palmetto State Bank, what happened to them?
They got converted to personal usage for Alex Murdaugh's benefit.
Personal usage for Alex Murdaugh's benefit. For what? What was he doing with all that money? Was it drugs? Was it gambling? Was it other women? Millions and millions of dollars. And why did the other partner stand by and let it happen? Did nobody notice what was going on? Take a listen to our cut 9.
On the morning of Friday, September 3rd, at Lee Cope's house with the majority of the partners and myself present, we discussed what we had found and showed everybody the documentation that we had recovered. And then the choice was made, we needed to talk to Alec, that it looked like he had stolen. And it was my understanding that Alec admitted it and that it was determined he would resign. I think he tried to do a few other things before resigning, but we made him resign.
I wonder what she meant by do a few other things. Now, this is where Amy Zimmercheck, high-profile lawyer for Curtis Cousin Eddie Smith, comes in. Wait for it, Amy. Take a listen. Just as they're trying to iron out all of Alex Murdaugh's stealing, embezzling, outright just taking right out of the bank accounts of his clients, take a listen to our cut 10.
The next thing I heard about Alec was Alec had been shot in the head and was being flown out to Savannah.
Was that on the side of the road at Old Salkehatchie?
That's correct.
What's the first thing you thought when you heard he had been shot?
Nobody knew what to think. A lot of thoughts went through, but fear went through. Was this retaliation? Was he involved in something bigger that was going to get more of us in trouble? And just fear.
Robert Crispin, former homicide detective, Miami Field Division, now at CrispinInvestigations.com. Robert, if I heard, God forbid, that you were shot on the side of the road, my first thought would not be, oh, is this part of a bigger crime? Is this retaliation for wrongdoing by Robert Crispin? But this lady, and she's just telling the truth. they all went, uh-oh, what's this about? They immediately thought, well, you know what? Somebody got him back for all the, well.
Sorry to go off of topic, but it's not really off topic, but it was in the chat. We were talking about, we were trying to figure out what Buster did for a living. And I was trying to like read up on it. Well, Buster and his girlfriend or wife, the girlfriend or the wife, I think they said it on here. Let me see if I could find it. If it says what she is. It just says her beau. Yeah, it just says they're dating. So, but it does say on here, and I'll share this with you. White attended, and that's her, attended the University of South Carolina Law School alongside Buster, who was allegedly kicked out in his second semester for plagiarism. So, yeah, and this is Alex paid an attorney $60,000 to try to get Buster readmitted. Oh, hold on, let me get my dogs. Them crazy girls. They're both like on the bed. They're my dogs. And they're looking out the balcony window. It's huge. And they can see out. And if they see anything move, tree, bird, squirrel, anything, shadow, they start barking. But they usually aren't that bad. So I just had to tell them to be good girls. So, yeah, so I don't know. It says Alex paid an attorney $60,000 to try to get Buster readmitted. The news site also reported that Buster attended an annual South Carolina Association for Justice convention in Hilton Head in August with his attorney uncle, Randy Murdaugh. So, it doesn't say like that he went back to school. So I just wanted to tell you guys that. So maybe like Buster's not like the good kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was kind of putting like Buster like as like the good son, kind of does everything right. And then maybe Paul kind of like got off the pattern of like doing things correctly with like getting in that boating accident while drinking, things like that. But maybe not. Maybe they're both not doing very nice things. Maybe they're both not following the law. And it's crazy because their family's been involved with the law for 87 years. You think they would follow it. They would know the law to follow it. But that's probably why they think they can get away with it. The things that they do.
I quit cursing when the twins were born. For all the, let me just say, shenanigans that Alex Murdaugh had pulled. That's their first thought, Crispin.
Well, yeah, so let's talk about this witness who's testifying today first. What a solid witness. And the defense is going to have a big time problem with her. And she is going case by case, client by client, and showing the theft. And again, it goes back to digital evidence. This is digital evidence. You're not getting out of this. It comes back to him. Now, let's speed things up. Let's go to the attempted suicide. You know what really hurts him on that? And law enforcement, I guarantee you, from the time they showed up, knew that something was up with this. In his 911 call, what does he do? He starts to talk about his alibi. He doesn't talk about being shot in the head until several seconds deep inside. The 911 operator even asks him, have you been shot? And there's a pause. And they says, yeah, in the head. I'm sorry. I've listened to thousands of 911 calls, and I've responded to several shootings. Listen to the 911 call. People are screaming, I've been shot, I've been shot. Or they're trying to scream out what their offender looks like. You don't put your alibi up front. That's exactly what happened here. This is exactly what happened during one of his first two interviews. Notice, he's a former prosecutor. He always puts that alibi out front first.
Because, you know, if I had been shot and I was afraid I was dying, the first thing I said would not be, hey, I got a flat tire. That's not how that would normally go down. And remember, his then lawyer told everybody that he had horrendous, life-changing injuries with a brain injury. Then he showed up with a Band-Aid, a flesh-colored Band-Aid. Now, this is where Amy Zimmercheck comes in. Amy, again, you've got your work cut out for you. I do not envy you at all, but that's why you have such a good reputation. You manage to somehow turn lemons into lemonade every time. Amy, your client, Curtis Edward Smith, stands accused of shooting Alex Murdaugh at Murdaugh's request. Let me ask you this. When your client comes before this jury, and we have every reason to think that he is, what is his potential testimony?
Well, certainly I can't divulge any attorney-client privilege. I think that I think that depending on what the judge's ruling comes in, I think that what you'll see and hopefully what the jury will begin to understand is just like you've already picked up, is the res gestae, is the background behind what kind of person says and does things over and over, and how they do them and why they do them, why they go into a self-protection mode or an alibi mode. And I do believe that if it's argued correctly by the prosecution, that does fall squarely within the res gestae, within the why do we have to bring this information in? Because it's not just about one incident. It's not just about the financial crimes. It's not just about, the roadside shooting incident. It's about all of these things together and what they did in the mind of Alex Murdaugh to have us land here in front of those 12 jurors that are going to make that decision.
Res gestae, of course, is a Latin phrase that lawyers throw around. And what it means very simply is the facts and circumstances that are so intimately connected to the crime itself. It could be hearsay, but it's res gestae. It's said basically at the time or just before or surrounding the crime. That is an exception to the hearsay rule. There are many exceptions to the hearsay rule, but it is allowed in because it is res gestae. It kind of helps explain the nature of the crime, and it is allowed into evidence. So, first of all, we got to look at the actual injury to Alex Murdaugh that afternoon on that rural road. And two, you got to wonder if he would arrange that shooting, what else would he do? I want to go to you. Dr. Michelle Dupree is joining me there in South Carolina, former forensic pathologist, medical examiner, detective, and author of Homicide Investigation Field Guide. She's at DMichelleDupreeMD.com. Dr. Michelle, thank you for being with us. Do you remember when you and I looked at Alex Murdaugh's so-called brain injury? It was a Band-Aid.
It was a joke, Nancy. I do remember that. And whoever supposedly tried to shoot him, they need remedial marksman training.
Yeah, you know that, Amy Zimmercheck, you might mention that to Curtis Eddie Smith, that he needs to go take a little time at the target, at the range, because he was meaning to kill Murdaugh. He's a bad shot, but you know what? I'm glad he's in a court of law right now so we can get some answers. Kelly Skeen is joining me right now, Fox Nation producer for Crime Stories. Kelly, of course, the jury did not hear everything that was happening today, correct?
No, they did not hear. So yesterday what happened is Jim Griffin, Alex Murdaugh's defense attorney, asked Paul Murdaugh's friend, could you think of any reason why Alex Murdaugh would kill his wife and son? The friend said no, but essentially Alex Murdaugh's own defense team kicked that door wide open for all of this other evidence on other crimes to be admitted into court to talk about Alex Murdaugh's character. So you can imagine he's probably not too happy with his defense team in this very moment.
Okay, Kelly, slow it down and repeat one more time why this is happening. All of the witness that you're just seeing talking about financial misdoings, in other words, stealing, siphoning, embezzling millions of dollars from his law firm. As I heard that witness describe it, a brotherhood of lawyers, from his brotherhood of lawyers, from his clients that trusted him. How did this happen? Because typically we wouldn't see this. You were talking about opening a door. Tell me again in slow-mo, what exactly happened?
Sure. So yesterday when Paul Murdaugh's friend was on the stand, Alex Murdaugh's defense attorney asked him, can you think of any reason why Alex Murdaugh would kill his own wife and son? The friend said no, but that opened the door for the state to ask a question about, did you know anything about the financial crimes? They said no. The defense team objected. The judge called the objection totally inappropriate and said we would address it this morning in court. We did, but none of these arguments can be heard in front of a jury because technically the case that they're hearing right now is the murder trial. They are not hearing about Alex Murdaugh's financial crimes. So the state and the defense team are going back and forth on whether any of this will be admitted in front of a jury, and we don't know if the jury will hear any of this yet.
Kelly, where is the jury during all this?
They're in the break room. They were waiting for lunch. The judge dismissed them. The bailiffs took them out, and they're waiting.
Okay, you know, Amy Zimmercheck, this is why people hate lawyers. Well, one of the many reasons they hate lawyers. They have been sitting in that jury room, which is a very small, about the size of somebody's dining room, waiting to come in court while the lawyers do this. I swear, Amy, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, whenever that would happen to me, I would tell the other side, you know what, we need to do this after we let the jury go home and not have them sitting in a room waiting for us to figure out what to do with the evidence. Because I think that's a huge miscarriage for the jury to have to sit there and twiddle their thumbs while the lawyers duke it out in court. They should have done that last night. But did you hear Amy Zimmercheck when Kelly Skins said, I mean, I'm not sure which defense lawyer it was that asked this question, but I mean, really? Are you serious? Did they really ask this question to a state's witness, Amy? Can you think of any reason that Alex Murdaugh would shoot his wife and son? Well, heck yeah, I can think of a lot of reasons. They opened the door, Amy Zimmercheck.
I believe that they not opened the door. I believe that they fully kicked it open, and not just with the second witness. I felt like Creighton Waters almost missed an opportunity. Jim Griffin did the questioning of both of these boys, and that's what they are. They're very young men, and I know that this is hard for them because they are close with the family, and this is difficult. But when Jim asked Rogan, you know, can you think of any reason? And I was yelling at Creighton through the computer like, oh my gosh, he just gave you all the reasons, bring him up, ask him about all of them. He said that he knew him very well. He asked him that twice. He could have gone into that, but what he did was waited till the second witness. And I do believe that was a huge mistake on the defense. I was in trial earlier this week, and there was an opportunity that I had to be very careful with the questions that I crafted on cross, because I didn't want to open that door to these other potential bad acts or these other reasons or these other things. And the defense absolutely did that, and I believe that was a huge mistake.
Oh my goodness, Amy Zimmercheck, let me tell you something. Whenever that would happen to me, I could not even sit at my seat. I would jump up immediately and tell my investigator, go get this person, that person, this person, this person, bring me this, bring me that. They've opened the door. Hell has broken loose. And I guarantee you I don't guarantee you, but I bet one of the reasons the state didn't jump on it right then is they don't want a mistrial. I would have sent the jury out and said, they opened the door, Judge, and I'm fixing to walk through it with all of my witnesses and all of my evidence as to motive right now. Because let me explain to any non-lawyers, it's real easy. Lawyers want to make it sound hard. It's not hard. Under our Constitution, a case cannot be tried on somebody's bad reputation. No, the jury doesn't know that you did this and you did that and you had a DUI and you cheated on your wife and blah, blah, blah. No, they only hear the facts regarding the case in chief, what you were charged with. They don't want to taint the jury with other bad acts unless and until the defense brings it up and tries to say, there was no motive, was there? Oh, yeah, there's a motive, all right. And then the state can come back, guns a-blazing, telling the jury all about motive. And that is what has happened here. Kelly, which defense lawyer did that? Who opened the door?
It's interesting you ask that. It was defense attorney Jim Griffin. And up until this point, we've really seen Dick Harpootlian asking many of the questions but he's been getting a lot of criticism for kind of bumbling through this trial. He's a very high-priced attorney, has a very good reputation, but really isn't kind of showing his stuff in court. So we've seen him at the table and Jim Griffin doing more of this line of questioning. And also Alex Murdaugh has been playing a big role in his own defense. We see him conferring with his attorneys before the jury comes in, during court every day. But the lawyer who specifically asked that question was Jim Griffin.
The tire iron. But there was another man that ad-free by subscribing to 1
months from initial enrollment. Zebra.com/Uber.
Of the Murdaugh law firm, Crispin
Minimums apply.
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace.
Hey, Robert Crispin joining me, former homicide detective, formerly with DOJ, CrispinInvestigations.com. Robert, did you hear the witness talking about the financial misdoing, Jeanne Seckinger? And she's just come off the stand. I don't think they're done with her yet, by the way. The CFO of the Murdaugh law firm. And she said she came upon Alex Murdaugh and he gave her this dirty look. Robert, can I tell you the look, the piercing looks he was giving jurors? I think it really made an impact on them.
Yeah, a pivotal moment for him and her when she said, well, let's just go into your office and I'll tell you what's going on. I think at that point, he probably realized I've got problems and this girl knows. And I'm going to be honest with you, Nancy, this witness, if there was a list of people to eliminate, potentially could be on that list, because it sounds to me like she did her own investigation and she found a lot of stuff. And I think at that moment, that was the pivotal moment that he realized I've got problems. And I think the perfect storm started to come together and it started to all fall apart.
Well, another thing, Amy Zimmercheck with me, a high-profile lawyer who is representing Curtis, a.k.a. Eddie Edward Smith. This goes back to Murdaugh getting shot in the head on a rural road. I don't know how familiar you are with the Murdaugh law firm or if you know the lawyers within the Murdaugh law firm, but I'm wondering if this witness, Miss Jeanne Seckinger, who's very articulate, she's calm, poised, and she never breaks. I wonder if she knew Maggie. I mean, she had to know Maggie.
I know that they were a very close-knit PMPED, which was the old law firm before, now it's the Parker Law Group. But I believe that they were all very close. I think that, not only did her husband work there, but her brother-in-law, Randy Murdaugh, and for quite some time, her father-in-law, Randolph, what they call Handsome. They were all, they were all a very close-knit group. And I think that that's probably a little bit of her anger and her hurt, is that all of this is happening and she's learning about all of these things. And I would be frustrated and upset as well.
I wonder if they realize that the name PMPED sounds like pimp.
Yeah, it does.
That's just me. Is that you, Dr. Michelle Dupree? Jump in.
Even in court today, she was talking about how they would switch on and off from, being co-workers to being more like friends and family. And I think Amy said this earlier, it really was like a brotherhood. And in the middle of the CFO confronting Alex Murdaugh about these funds, she still was saying that she was giving him the benefit of the doubt and thought that these funds existed somewhere else, that he had put them in another account. She never thought, oh, he blew through all of this money and stole all of our clients' money. Never.
Well, we're going to hear a total, and I believe it's between $7 and $8 million that they know of that was stolen not only from the law firm itself, but from the clients. And what it's going to boil down to is motive for murder. I want to go to Dr. Michelle Dupree joining me, pathologist, medical examiner, and this is important, former detective, author of Homicide Investigation Field Guide. Dr. Dupree, I have seen murders over $5. I've seen a murder of a mother, a woman sitting outside on her porch over a drug deal a neighbor made. things you would never imagine someone would think worthy of a murder. But here we see the law firm has asked him to leave. Everything's coming out, his alleged drug problem. Just so many things are happening. He's swimming in debt. And now his wife wants a divorce. And she's going to find out all about his financial misdeeds and that they don't have any money left. Motive for murder. I guess you've seen murders for a lot less than that, Dr. Michelle Dupree.
Absolutely, Nancy. And, you know, we keep hearing that this was a distraction, that pretty much the whole motivation was a distraction from these financial crimes. But I don't think that's exactly true. When we look at this, everything that you've just said, you know, there's a divorce going on. She may have actually found, I mean, she was a bookkeeper at some point in time. She may have told Alex that if she didn't get a divorce, she would expose that. And also, you know, his son Paul, he's been a problem for a long time. He's always been in trouble. So I think there are multiple reasons here for Alex to have possibly snapped and committed these murders, allegedly committed these murders.
You know, another issue is the hearings in the Mallory Beach death, which you all know is the teen girl that was on the boat with Paul Murdaugh. He was drunk and speeding. He slammed into cement pilings and she goes flying off. She died. Hearings regarding that were gearing up. The divorce, the law firm, the money, the drugs, it was all imploding. But, you know, to me, he seems like the kind of person, let me ask you this, Robert Crispin, you've seen so many criminals, that he was always finding a way to wiggle out of anything. And I wonder if that day, don't get mad about this, Amy Zimmercheck, the day that he allegedly had Curtis Edward Smith shoot him, I wonder if it was planned for him to be shot on the side of his head. Maybe Cousin Eddie was a lot better shot than we know, and not actually kill him. And then make it appear that the assailant who shot him was the same person that shot Paul and Maggie.
Yeah, well, as an investigator, we call that a diversion. And if they wanted to shoot him in the head and kill him on the side of the road while he's on his knees changing his tire, that would have happened. Trust me. So it was a diversion. As an investigator, I'm going to tell you, they probably saw that as soon as they walked up. They knew everything that's been kind of going on already. Then they listened to that 911 call. It just didn't fit. And this is why this is all starting to unfold the way it's unfolding.
Oh my goodness, Robert Crispin, hold on. We're running out of time, and we haven't even gotten to discuss the change of wardrobe. Guys, can I see that 2-screen you showed early? It was so awesome. Thank you for making that. You see Alex Murdaugh outside wearing one outfit, and they're obviously looking, there you go, with a tree falling over. And I think you can hear Paul in the background as well. And then just a couple of hours later, whoa, there he is in a very clean shirt with no blood spatters on it. What happened to those other clothes? Where are they? Did Murdaugh discard bloody clothes? Okay, Kelly Skian, Fox Nation senior producer, joining us at the courthouse. What about it, Kelly?
We have no idea where these clothes are, Nancy, but something that we will definitely hear more about in this trial is the infamous raincoat that had gunshot residue found on the inside, and it was found at Alex Murdaugh's mom's house. So where the clothes are from the Snapchat video, nobody knows. But what we do know, and what we are expecting to hear a lot more about, this is an explosive piece of evidence that the state has, is that there was gunshot residue on the inside of a raincoat that Alex Murdaugh somehow had placed at his mother's house, as well as on the seatbelt of his car.
You know, I like what you just did there, Kelly Skian. You may want to consider future in the legal field, because I asked you what happened to those clothes, and you immediately went to the raincoat that was found covered in gunshot residue that a witness says Alex Murdaugh bundled up and stuffed somewhere at his mother's house. So I'm wondering, Kelly, because I did not catch it in opening statements, but did the prosecutor mention to the jury in openings that they were going to hear about Alex Murdaugh making a wardrobe change, changing clothes from before the bloody murders until the cops got there. He's wearing something completely different.
You know, I don't remember that from the opening statements, but what we have heard from witnesses so far is that Alex Murdaugh said that he wanted to check Paul's pulse and he tried to turn his body over. And these witnesses have said, well, one could assume if you are turning a body over, you would be covered in blood. Another witness also said she found it very strange Alex Murdaugh was sweating profusely on the night of the murders, yet his clothes were dry. So this is definitely not the end of the closed saga in this trial.
Dr. Michelle Dupree, forensic pathologist, medical examiner, you've had to turn over plenty of bloody bodies. How come Murdaugh had no blood on his hands, his arms, his clothing? He had a white T-shirt, for Pete's sake. Yes, nothing.
Exactly, Nancy. I cannot explain it. And if that is the case, if he really tried to do that, there would be blood somewhere on him. That is a real telltale sign.
Yeah, I mean, at least his hands. And I don't like repeating this. These are not my words. This was already said in court that Paul's brains, his son Paul's brains, were down by Paul's feet. Now, how in the world could you turn over a body that has been shot that many times, both him and Maggie, covered in blood, and you don't have any blood even on your hands? Nothing?
Exactly. I cannot explain it. And obviously, I think that is not what happened. He would have to have blood on him somewhere, and we don't have those clothes that he was wearing. There was a video of him standing in a field showing him in long pants and a different shirt just a few hours earlier from when the police interrogated him or interviewed him.
Well, another thing about that Amber check, guys, high-profile lawyer representing Curtis Edward Smith, that really will go toward intent, that this was not just some fleeting moment of anger when he shot his wife and son, but intent. He had a change of clothes, if this is to be believed, Amy Zimmercheck.
Well, Nancy, I think the bigger problem is that and I know you haven't seen the picture because it's under protection, but the fact that his phone, Paul's phone that had these two videos on it, these terrible videos for the defense, was laying on top of Paul because it had fallen out of his pocket somehow, and Alec had placed it back on his son's deceased body, and I think that's very problematic.
Well, and also the fact that they show blood inside of the back pocket.
Man, you're so right, Dr. Dupree. I'm hearing in my ear, Kelly Skian, I'm hearing in my ear they're about to start court again with or without the jury. Kelly Skian, I want to hear more of Jeanne Seckinger on the stand because she's awesome. Did you see the way she would cut her eyes over and look at Murdaugh when she was talking about all that money he stole?
She did, and she even gave it back to the defense attorney a little bit when he was asking her questions. She said, this is money that your client stole, and Alex Murdaugh is sitting in court with the glasses on the tip of his nose staring at her. So you can only imagine how that meeting went when she confronted him about the funds to begin with. But she is spot on. She is articulate. She does not miss a beat. And even when his defense attorney questioned her about, oh, so you did your own investigation on this, she said, well, yes, I did, but so did the FBI. We had a forensic accountant, and law enforcement has all of this as well. So she was not budging. She firmly believes, and as does the state, that Alex Murdaugh,
I can tell you this, Kelly,
all of this money.
They better not try to bully this lady on the stand because they will put out an arm and pull back a nub. I'm just telling you. And also, juries do not like it when a lawyer bullies an otherwise seemingly nice and straightforward witness on the stand. But I'm thinking about the way she would look at him in court. Am I wrong, or did he start crying in court again today?
You know, I'm looking at the back of his head, so I didn't see if he was crying in court today. What I did see was the death stare and the glasses on the tip of his nose as this witness was speaking.
Well, I think when she was talking about all the money he stole, millions and millions of dollars from not only the clients, but the so-called brotherhood of lawyers that built that firm, that made that firm. Other lawyers who are upstanding lawyers, respected lawyers that look out for their clients. And here he was with his hands in their pockets. I think he started crying. But you know what? He had plenty of time to think about that every single time he stole another settlement. Kelly.
He did. He could have thought about the clients that this money should have gone to. And we even heard today that he allegedly stole a check from his own brother. He cashed a check and then a year later cashed another check for that same amount of money after asking the CFO of his law firm to cut the check again because he lost it. So he's not only stealing from this brotherhood of lawyers, he's stealing from allegedly, from his real brother. And I was watching his brothers in court today to see if they had any reaction, but they've been pretty stoic today and didn't have much reaction as they're talking about these funds being funneled from their law firm.
Well, they're sitting there right beside Buster, who's in court every day with, I think, his girlfriend. So I'm sure they don't want to have any outburst in front of Buster. Robert Crispin, when you see a guy like Murdaugh, I wonder, what in the hay were you thinking, man? You had it all, and you did this over and over and over. But I learned about 5 years into it, why ask why? Why does it matter? What matters is proving the case.
It all goes to greed. Completely goes to greed.
Yeah, greed turning into homicide, and God only knows what else. So we have no idea if Jeanne Seckinger is going to be back on the stand, but we know where the state is headed. I'm just waiting for them to somehow show the jury that Alex Murdaugh actually had a change of clothing before the murder and after. I wonder if they've put that together yet. Okay, I'm hearing in my ear the judge is about to take the bench. We are going back into the courtroom. Everybody, we are live at the Colleton County Courthouse with the latest.
Okay, yeah, Nancy covered a lot. I wonder if he had the change of clothes with him already. Or if he left, because if he left the scene, they would find blood evidence in his car. Surely, right? But I don't know, he could shoot from far away. And Buster, oh my gosh, yeah, so he's named after his great-granddaddy. I think his great-granddaddy's name was Buster. Something, Buster, maybe Alexander Buster. Yeah, Buster's name's Richard Alex Murdaugh. Yeah, his great-grandfather, we did there was a timeline video we showed, and that's like the family tree. It showed the family tree. I think it was his great-grandfather they named him. He went by Buster. I feel like I know somebody by that name, or like a weird name like that. Like Buster almost sounds like a doggy's name, like a dog name. Like you should name your puppy Buster. Like, come here, Buster. But yeah, so she did go over a lot. She went over the CFO of the law firm, pretty much called Alex out for stealing. It was, I think, that he stole at one point. It was like $790,000 the day of the murders, and then he stole like $7 to $8 million altogether from his clients. Could you imagine being one of his clients? I've been in a bad car accident before, and I have had a lawyer. And I couldn't imagine if he just took my money and then I was constantly calling him because I needed the money for doctors or medical bills or, prescriptions or whatever it is you need, maybe in-home care. And that person's like, yeah, we don't have your money. We got to cut you another check. And then you're waiting for the other check. And then the second check never arrives. It just doesn't come. I couldn't imagine. I would be beside myself. My lawyer actually took a little less because I didn't get anything at all. He felt so bad for me. He was like, I'm going to take less than what I normally take. But I couldn't imagine. So altogether, I think it was like $7 or $8 million that he stole. Steven, I believe, is the guy that tried to shoot Alec in the head. The 911 call, Nancy went over that. That 911 call was like a joke. Like, he's just chilling, like he's ordering a pizza. Like, yeah, 911, my name's Alec. Yeah, I got shot. And the lady literally has to pull it out of him. Like, did you get shot? Like, he's like, yeah. Like, it's another day. Like, it's another Sunday. Yeah, Juanita does. It sucks. Juanita. Y'all don't call her Juanita. I don't know why I call you Juanita. I called you something really, I don't know what I just called you, but Juanita. And yeah, it was bad times. But I went to I had a doctor's appointment this morning. That's why we didn't do it live this morning. So sorry about that. We usually do lives at 10:15 a.m. during the week. I'm off a day too. I keep thinking today's Saturday. Yesterday I called it Friday on the live. So if you guys see the live from yesterday morning, I actually did 2 lives yesterday. If you see the one from yesterday morning, that one I said it was Friday. So just pretend like it, because you're watching it today. It's today. I was like, whoops. And then I did a couple short videos. I did, what else? Oh, I did like a little pre-recorded review video for the ladies or the gentlemen that wear mascara. I did a review video that I'll be posting this weekend. But yeah, that's all I really have for you today for this. There's a lot going on in this case. So we will, the case is like going live right now. So you can watch that, I believe, on like Court TV, CNN's playing it. News Nation, I believe, is playing it live on their website, maybe. I don't think it's on their the regular channel. Let me see if I can. And I think they're back into court too. So they'll be probably in court for another day or two. Yeah, everything's okay. I just have to get some tests done on Monday. I've got to go to the doctor now, and I have to drive an hour and a half to this doctor. And I'm not even seeing my doctor. I'm seeing like their colleague. I'm like, really? You call one doctor and then all of a sudden you got 50 doctor's appointments. That's what I was trying to like, just make sure I was writing everything down. Like if you all saw my planner, you'd be like, girl, when do you sleep? And I just don't. You need a book of state laws? Me too. Every state is different. You watch Vinny and I don't Court TV. We watch Vinny here too. I like him. I like Vinny. And I like Nancy. Some people, you either love her or you hate her. And we have been playing a lot of Nancy Grace lately. And that's only because she's been coming out with such good podcast. It makes my job a little easier whenever we've got Nancy with me. I told Vincent he's going to have to be my co-host one day. He was like, yeah, right. But maybe. Or I told him I'll get a cardboard cutout of him too. I'll have cardboard cutouts of everybody. But yeah, that's all I really have for you guys for today. We did go over a lot in this. I think we went over a lot in this little live, about an hour and a half. So I will be on tonight because we have Idaho 4 updates. We've got some updates that came out. Some people came out to News Nation, said a few things. I also want to try to, if I can collect them all by tonight, I wanted to go over the other interviews. We went over Ethan's parents' interviews, like all of them the other day, like all the interviews with Ethan and Maddie's families. We're just going back and just looking at the interviews just to see if there's anything that we kind of like maybe didn't miss that they told us before. And just remembering the victims and, just seeing the parents and the family, kind of the way they go through their grieving process and how they're actually, they're coming out like a little stronger in the end. You can see them really struggle in the beginning of the interviews, and then towards the end of these interviews they're starting to get more stronger and just more powerful. And I'm glad that they're able to be like that and be strong for their children, because it's terrible what happened in Idaho. So yeah, Isabel, if you can't stay awake, I understand. It's a late one and you have like 5 hours ahead of me, so that's why I knew you were. I was like, she probably fell asleep last night because we did an extra live. So also, I am trying to reach 6,000 Titans by the end of this weekend, and we are at 5,972. So if you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you. And I will see you guys all tonight at 8:15 p.m. My dogs actually aren't bothering me for once. I took them on a really long walk before this live, and it's only been an hour and a half. So I've got like a good hour or so before they bother me. So thank you. Like Teresa said, thank you all for being here today. Please like, subscribe. Make sure that your notifications are set to allow all notifications, because sometimes it doesn't do that automatically. That way you'll be alerted if I post more than once a day, because sometimes I post more than once a day. That way you guys will be getting all of the lives and all of that stuff. So I will see you guys all in the next live. I love you. You guys be safe, and I'll see you guys all tonight at 8:15. Bye guys.